and plan on how to devastate a child's life, and they'll be devastated forever. So for what you're saying, hey, you give me a hug and I'll give you this. So they play with that for a little while. Now it's like, okay, I'm not going to give you this. Well, why? You didn't give me a hug. I tell you what, it's too late now. Give me this. And it's like, that can be so, I've never heard a grown man tell a kid.
But it's not just the men. Women can do it too.
Okay.
But I think not from the pedophile's point of view, but just from so because again, I do these podcasts, so I'm talking family dynamics, right? Sure. I'm talking women who are adults who still feel obligated to continue to cook the 6-course meal, 7-course meal.
Women still do it?
Continue to show up and show up at mom and them's house, and they don't want to be there for Thanksgiving, right? There's always
duties, marital duties,
or family duties.
Oh, really? See, that's interesting.
Okay, but see, can you tell? So tell me about that relationship, right? Let's move on to what that looks like. The young Dwayne Bryant, who grew up in Florida,
Eatonville, Florida.
Yep. And there has to be those dynamics that even as an adult, you still have to massage through.
Yeah. I probably say I'm not proud to say it, but the Dwayne Bryant who you're sitting with right now is a very different man.
Really?
Oh my God. Yeah. Even when I go home, my family was like, dude, you've been in Chicago too long. Seriously, Chicago is a rough city. Chicago will turn your ass out. Got it. It's a rough city. It's full of hustlers.
Yes.
It's full of criminals.
Have you been in New York?
There's a few. Yeah, I've been in New York. But New York is different though. New York has a sense of strong pride that's still there, at least when I was there.
No, that's true.
A sense of, what's up, brother?
That is true.
Here, it's like, nigga, you know, I get mine, you get yours. You don't know him. Who sent him? Where he come from? So it's like this cliquish stuff here that I've never seen anywhere else but here. So Chicago, I'm not from here. Most of the people I've met are not from here. So the people who come here, the best kept secret in Chicago are the black people who come here. We're the ones that make the city run, because the ones who are local, who've been here, stayed here, never went nowhere in their life, if you take out 10% of them, the rest of them ain't doing much. And people hate when I say this thing, but I broke the numbers down. If you look at Chicago public schools, the average graduation rate is 50%. That means we can discount 50% for seriously moving and shaking in the city. Just because you graduate high school don't mean you go to college. So half of those that graduate don't go to college. So now you're down to 25%. Half of those who go to college graduate. So now you're down to about 12.5%. So you take away that 12.5% of Chicagoans, and you left with that other 80-some%. It's not a lot of black folk from here, living here, raised and born here, who are really moving and shaking. So when we say we got Oprah Winfrey, she ain't from here. We got Jesse Jackson, he ain't from here. We got this person, Michael Jordan, he ain't from here. So when you look at, you got your Jim Reynolds and stuff like that. So you do have some, but when you look at the majority of folk, they transplants. They came here for opportunity. And what we do is we get in these positions and we move and we shake, and we may stay here and we may have families. But, Chicago's a rough place. And so
when you go home, it's like, what happened to our Southern boy?
Yeah, no. And it's like, dude, like for instance, something as simple as this. I'm home and we go to the grocery store for Thanksgiving.
Now, who are you going to the grocery store with?
My sister, brother-in-law, and nieces and nephews in the caravan.
Okay, in the caravan. I love it.
So we pull up the Winn-Dixie. Everybody get out, and I'm like, wait, hold on. Take this off the front seat. Put this on the seat. Move this back here. No. You can't leave that ball up there. Throw that ball in the back. And they're like, what the hell is wrong with you? I'm like, what's wrong with y'all? They're like, are you serious? I'm like, no, are you serious? Somebody come here and break this window. They're like, dude, calm down. And I'm like, really on edge, because listen, I got to look out for y'all.
Right.
And they're like, D, what has happened to you? So I'm much more impatient.
Yeah.
I'm much more paranoid. I'm watching every time, all times. I can walk out my door to the freaking mailbox. I'm looking around, because right here in front of my street, I live on the same street as President Obama, there's been 2 drive-by shootings in front of my house.
Thank you for telling me.
You're welcome. That's why I didn't want to tell you before you got here. And so this is a tough place. I was taught, single parent mom, 5 sisters.
Are you the only?
No, I have one other brother.
Okay, one
other brother.
Okay.
I was taught literally, you love, you cherish, and you protect the black woman. This is what you do. You open the door for her. When you go up the stairs, you walk behind her in case she trips. When you're going downstairs, you walk in front of her. All of this stuff. Women are sacred. They are godly. I came here. Oh my God.
How old were you when you came here?
I was 25. 25 years old because I resigned from Johnson & Johnson when I was 27 years old.
So you were 27.
25 when I
25.
came. 27 when I resigned from Johnson & Johnson.
Okay, so you were 25 when you came to Chicago.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Woo! I'm going to take over the world, baby. I'm going to be married by the time I'm 35.
And what happened?
Kids. Oh, God.
See, shit happens. You know, I have a book called 20 Beautiful Women. And my chapter is Chapter 7, Adaptability 5.0.
Okay.
And really the whole message in the book is how life will happen, shit will happen, hence the name Talking Shit with LSH, right? Mm-hmm. It's a double-edged sword, right? Got it. Maybe I don't know if I use the word sword, but the point is things happen in our lives. So that's a personal account of my life, this book. But it teaches us how to rebound and adapt from the shit that happens, right? Mm-hmm. So you got here and you were going to save the world. Save the world. Be married. About 10 kids. Well, little Dwayne Jr.
Four. I'm going to have 3 boys and a girl.
Okay, so you had it all mapped out. 25, totally. Right?
Absolutely.
And then what happened?
Don't have a narrow child. Never been married, heterosexual, so I don't do the switch. I don't know what's confusing, all that kind of stuff.
You know, they got exactly they got all kinds of categories now.
Yeah, you got transgender, you got homosexual, you got bisexual, you got trisexual.
Yes.
That's try anything, whatever.
They have queer, you know, it's the L. Yeah, they got all kinds of
LBGT.
Yeah.
But no, I like women. I always have, so I ain't worried about that.
But you cool with the brothers too?
As friends.
Yes.
But not. No, we don't. No. Like,
do you have any gay male friends?
You know what? I had a couple. One, I won't say his name because he may be on the podcast. But see, here's what's funny about that. I didn't know he was gay. No, let me rephrase it. Everybody knew he was gay.
But he
always, everybody knew he was gay. Okay. That's like the cousin that come out one day for Christmas and everybody like, dude, we all knew you were gay.
Right.
What are you talking about? Right. You've been gay since you were 12 years old, dude.
You just
right, exactly.
Right.
So no, everybody knew he was gay, but he just played around with me like, no, I like, and I'm thinking, dude, really?
How long did he keep this going?
He kept it going for a while. I remember one time, this is hilarious. One time, this was after the Oprah show. We went to the mall, and this is when I knew this dude is gay. And just the way, men carry themselves in a certain way. Like, and I don't want to say men because they're men, but heterosexual men for the most part. And the way this guy was, DB, what do you think about this?
He's adjusting his clothes.
Yeah. And I'm like,
he's got the mannerisms and everything going. The expressions.
The everything.
Okay.
And I'm like, what? Are you for real? What? And I'm like, okay, dude. And I even asked him, I said, dude, now you've been talking about girlfriends and stuff like that. Is there anything you want to tell me? And he was like, no, what you talking about? I said, listen, if we friends, we should be able to be open and honest. Because I'm not going to not be your friend.
Right.
Because you're cool to me. Right. I can care less. And I would defend you.
Yeah.
If somebody was saying, no, man, I'm telling you, I'm like, okay, cool. But now I'm like, okay, if you can't be honest, then we probably ain't going to be friends that long. I've worked with gay men.
So how long, let's go back to him. How long did it take him before he came out of the closet and admitted?
I'm going to tell you what he did. It was a few years later. And he never came out the closet. This is what happened. I remember so clearly. I'm in the airport, and I think I was getting ready to fly to Ghana. And he called. I said, hey, man, what's going on? I said, your voice. What's up with your voice? He said, nothing. I just want to let you know I have HIV.
Oh, shit.
And I said, whoa, dude, what? And I said, well, how you get? He said, DB, quit playing. You already know.
No, he couldn't play no more. He was just like, because something bigger than.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, something bigger than.
And I'm like, dude. So it's like I wasn't surprised, but I was sad for him.
Yeah.
Because the news, who wants that? Who wants that? And so at that moment, I guess that was his way of saying, you already know, so I'm just going to let you know.
You didn't really directly talk about it. He never said,
no, never. I'm gay. Never talked about it.
I like men.
Never talked about it. Preference. But after that, I asked him, is this something that you felt from a kid? Is it something you chose?
Oh, yeah.
Because I always want to know, because again, I'm thinking about my boys, my students. And so he said his uncle had molested him for years. Oh. And I personally think that a lot of people, males, who say they're gay and females, had an alternate encounter that did something to them that allowed them to, I don't want to say, well, I won't say pervert, but it did something to them. So if I'm a boy, child, and a grown man is playing with me and doing things to me, I don't see the world as regular anymore. If I'm a grown man and I'm molesting a girl child, kids are not supposed to be exposed to things that grown-ups are supposed to be exposed to, because they're not equipped to handle it. So if they're exposed to it, it turns them out in a way that they're not prepared for. And that's why I'm totally not with this whole pedophilia crap. Let a kid be a kid. If you're gay, cool. That's your business. Right. They ain't got nothing to do with nobody else, and I have to protect you, defend your right to do whatever. But now if you create this in the life of a child, I think that can have a total different impact.
Yeah, because I want to generalize it a little bit and say it doesn't have anything to do with your sexual preference, I think, because you can have the sexualization of a child alters the child, basically.
Yeah, I agree.
I did a week-long focus on social media that talked about, well, the caption of it, our hashtag was train wreck on track. Right. So the idea was that the theme was, in a person's life, a train wreck can come wreak havoc.
Right. And
then through a variety of different means or avenues, depending on what it is, whether it's God or self or family, some intervention happens and your life gets back on track.
Right.
The relationship, whomever it may be with.
Right.
I share that because it was an article that we shared on social media about a prostitute from, I believe she was from Chicago, who had been molested. She had been a prostitute 20, 25 years or something like that. When she goes back and she shares her story, she had been molested from a very early age by uncles.
Right, absolutely.
And once she was exposed to the sexualization, then she saw that it was a way to get what she wanted with boys. At this point, she's advanced sexually.
Correct.
She can have an even exchange. And let me go back. I'll go back. There was another piece to this. Her mother had her young. Her mother leaves. Her grandmother raises her. And it's the men that come in.
Into the household.
Yes. And so she became sexualized that way. She's young, has a baby, gets pregnant, has a baby. The grandmother's saying, listen, you got another mouth, you got to help us feed this baby.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. So she goes out one day and she is kidnapped or something to that effect. Not to belabor the story, but she ends up in this whole world of prostitution, forced. And then once she's forced, it continues the sexualization. And now she starts turning tricks on her own.
But she was exposed as a kid?
She was molested early. I think as early as 5 or 6 or something like that. God. So my whole point is that you're right in that there's the alteration that happens to the young children will affect them. Some people,
for the rest of their life. And most don't get counseling. Yeah. Most don't talk about it. But here's what's crazy. According to the stats, right? If you've been molested as a kid, you are 80% more likely to molest someone else.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a high stat. And the average person molests 3 to 5 people in a lifetime.
Wow.
Look at those numbers.
Yeah. And I think it's probably passed off maybe as playfulness, right? Or just you're doing me a favor or let me do you a favor. Well, there's a lot of language. As a parent, I had to become savvy about what was being said.
Parents have to guard their kids, not just against grown-ups, but against kids.
Oh, yeah. Because then it becomes about, exploration and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we were talking about the young DB. So
that innocent fella.
Oh boy,
I wish I could bring him back.
Let's talk about him. So you're a mentor now. You're a motivational speaker. You have books that you have out there. We'll share the website so those who are interested, want to find more about you. They can. What were you like as a kid?
Oh, Lord. As a kid, I was a bully. I used to fight.
Wow.
I bust tongues,
are you
literally.
Or where are you in the line of 7?
I have, 7? Yeah, 7 of us total. I have one younger